All right, that feels good to be outside. Always love coming outside. All right, step number 3 is how. How are we going to actually make all this happen? Now, a key aspect of how is usually materials. Like for me, I know that this needs to have so many different materials to actually happen. Like I need mulch, I need compost, I need manure, I need plants, all these different aspects need to come together. I need cardboard. I need all these materials. How do I know how many materials to get? Well, what I need to do is design, make a design. Now I'm going to be doing the next video probably about that design. But until then, just know that we need to get an estimate of how this is actually going to happen. What are the materials we need? Now for me, I'm going to do the design. I'm going to just draw it out and I'll know based off of square footage how much material I'm going to need. You all can do the same thing. You don't have to have a design course. Just getting out there and doing it a lot with landscape design. I have learned some key aspects, some tricks of the trade, if you will, that I want to pass on to y'all to share that will help you be able to make a sketch, a plan for all of the projects that you've got going on. Now when it comes to plants, there are 4 main categories of inputs that need to happen for you to have the output of fruits and vegetables and the aesthetic value of the leaves and just all of that together. You need to know these 4 main inputs. Input number 1 is sunlight. You need to know about sunlight. Where is your sunlight coming from? For me, it comes from right back there. So you can see the sun rising, and then it's going to shoot across way over there to where that is where it sets. That is the key for me to know how to design my garden, how to install the raised beds, how to do the greenhouse, where it needs to go. Sunlight is huge for plants. If we didn't have sunlight, we would not have plants, we would not have people. So factor into your equation, all right, where is sunlight coming from? How much do I need? What plants are going to do well with limited sunlight? Think about those types of things. And then another thing would be that plants need nutrients. They need life in the soil. Actually, nutrients is the biggest factor, the most important factor for plant growth, for any type of edible landscape design. You need to know that you are installing or correcting soil that's already there to where it's just going to make those plants thrive. Soil is so key. It's the biggest factor when it comes to plants. So you're going to need to know, how can I make this soil just like epic? Such good, healthy, happy soil. Now there's more to soil than nutrients. The big farms, they focus in on the NPK, like the big chunks, but there are micronutrients after that, and then even beyond micronutrients, there's soil biota. There's the microorganisms that need to be happy in the soil, need to be proliferating, and the soil is really almost like a living organism. It's alive. It's got so much going on, and what we as soil stewards can do is we can enliven that life and steward it towards abundance. And whenever the soil is alive and healthy, man, watch out, you're gonna have some healthy, happy plants. I am thinking about, how can I jumpstart this soil to where it's going to just be super, super happy. So like for me, I know I need to add mulch. This soil, it's not terrible, but it's not that great either. So I know that I'm gonna need to add mulch. I'm gonna need to have compost, bringing compost in and bringing in some worm castings, bringing in so much good stuff all at once. And I'm doing this in the fall because I know that I'm going to be able to grow some vegetables this fall. Come winter time, all of the mulch that I put down is going to have time to acclimate. It's going to have time to break down and turn into just the really good soil, the highly nutritious soil that I need and want for the springtime garden. So that's why I'm doing this in the fall. Another aspect is water. Where are you getting your water? For me, I have a spigot right there. And that's going to be close enough for me to get to my garden. But do you have access to water? Especially in arid areas, in more desert areas, you're really going to need to have access to water. You may even have to do irrigation. Here in Tennessee, it's really not that bad. Like, I shouldn't need to do irrigation. if I have the right type of mulch and the soil is covered, I really shouldn't have to do much watering. But for you, you might live in an area that really you have to do watering. So know your water. What have we talked about? We've talked about the sunlight, we've talked about the nutrients and the soil life and water. What's the last thing? Is air. We tend to not think about air because air's everywhere. You know, I'm breathing it right now. But it actually is a huge factor. And not only do plants take in air from their stomata and their leaves, but they also take up air from their roots. If you put a plant in a container of water, it might survive for a little while, but it's actually going to die eventually because plants actually breathe through their roots. One of the main benefits of mulch is that mulch loosens up the soil by creating an atmosphere where the soil life, the worms, the microorganisms, everybody can just be happy in there and they can proliferate. What you get eventually over time is the soil becomes actually more and more loose, which is kind of interesting because what we think we need to do is till it up and break it up every time with machinery, but actually over time that essentially makes bricks. So what's the process for making bricks? Bricks are made by taking soil, breaking it up, and then heating it up and letting it, and then compacting it. What do we do with our gardens? Pretty much the same thing. Like we start tilling it up, and then eventually it gets compacted with our machinery, with the tractors and stuff. You know, it's not a good system. So what we need to do is we need to bring life back into the soil by bringing in a lot of organic carbon and also nitrogen, to where that soil can start to come back to life and it'll get loosened up, and the roots will be able to breathe then once it's loosened up. So that is one way that you can help with the air quality of your plants. Alright, so those are the 4 main aspects to think about when it comes to projects that include plants. We need to think about light and water and nutrients, soil life, and air. Alright, so those are the how. How in the world are we going to make this happen? So really the first thing that needs to happen in the how section, in number 3, is we need to make a plan, a design, a sketch. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you need to know the materials that you need in order to go forward with the project. And once again, writing this down, writing the plan down, is going to be another key aspect to actually getting this project in the works. Whenever you write things down, when you see it with your eyes visually, and that's one of the reasons that I like to do hand-drawn designs, is because I know in my mind, I know that when I draw with my hands, when it's tactile, you know, it's not just an imagination up here, it's tactile. I know that project is much more likely to happen. Hey, plants are doing pretty good. Uh-oh. Looks like I'm getting some slugs. See that? Getting some serious slugs. I'm gonna have to come in with some diatomaceous earth and I'll put it around, and that should help us out. These are not looking so good right here. Maybe some transplant shock. Hey, chard's looking good. Coming back nice and fresh. But yeah, I need to come in here with some eggshells, put it around for slugs, as well as diatomaceous earth. That'll help them out. But man, they're looking a lot greener, a lot nicer. Compost tea is working. Need to put the rest of this in there today. It's looking good in there. Alright, let's get back to number 4. Number 4, y'all ready for this? The last step. Number 4 is when. When in the world are we going to get all this done? Like, how in the world?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Woo,
planting and anything to do with plants is very seasonal. So we need to be thinking, you know, long term, is this the right season for starting this garden or this landscape? Here in Tennessee, the best time to start any type of garden or landscape project is the fall time, because our plants are going dormant. It's a better time to transplant. Our season is closing up, so we can lay down a lot of good mulch to where over the winter time that's going to be breaking down. Fall is a really good time for us to start landscapes or anything to do with perennial plants. But really this last step is so vital, because we can make all these grand plans, we can know why we want to do something, we can know what needs to happen, we can even go down to the nitty-gritty of like making the design and knowing actually all the materials that we need. But if we don't continue and we don't actually schedule it, put it on the calendar, then man, in my experience, it just doesn't happen. So we need to actually write it down. For me, I'm doing that today. Like, I'm actually writing down my projects, when things need to happen. So just sit down, and having done these other 3 steps, you should know pretty well, you know, what exactly needs to happen and how it needs to happen. Now, before you even schedule these projects, go ahead and remind yourself of why you're doing this. Remember the first step. Like, it's going to come into play even right now. Knowing why you want to do this is huge. And then remember what you're doing, and then how you're doing it. And that will really be key to really being able to determine, when am I going to do this? Get your calendar out and schedule it in. That's huge, so huge, y'all. So that's my plan, y'all. That's the 4-step process to making your gardens come into reality. Your edible landscapes, your windowsill gardens. You know, just really dig down on these 4 steps. Write it down. Write it down. And if y'all do this, then man, we're gonna have some good growing green stuff coming into the world, because y'all are stewarding that soil. I know y'all can do this. You can do it. You can do it. I'm excited. And for me, I know I'm doing it, because I got all y'all being accountable to me. Actually, that's another aspect that I forgot to mention. It's so helpful to have a group of people who are excited about what you're doing, who are passionate about what you're passionate about with this edible landscape or with the garden. If you have a group of folks who are they're gonna be your cheerleaders, and they're gonna keep you in line as well. If you start deviating and saying, I don't know if I can do that raised bed, you know, I'm just too tired at the end of the day, da 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 da. There's so many excuses that we can put up. But if you have a group of people who are behind you, man, it makes the whole process so much more fun and more probable of it that it's actually going to happen. I would encourage you, get a group of people together that know you're making these plans, and they know that you're thinking through all this and you're writing it down. And as soon as you schedule it, also schedule conversations with people, telling them, hey, I'm actually doing this and this and this. And whenever we talk about it as if you're already doing it, that is, oh man, it's so helpful. It's helpful for me. I hope it's helpful for you. But that was just another little bonus tip that I hope helped you out. It's hard to hold all these things right here. Whew. There we go. I think that's all the steps. Steps 1 through 4. Let's go over them real quick again. You determine why you want to do these projects. You determine what exactly it is that you're doing. You have determined the when. When exactly am I going to do all this? Alright, you determined why you're doing these projects. You determined what you're doing exactly. And you have, you've thought about it, you figured out how, you made your plan. And like I said, I'll be helping you all with some of the how in a little bit. As I make my design, you'll see how I think about it, how I lay it out. That might be helpful for y'all. And also, you have determined when. Maybe you're not going to do the when part until after I do my designs, so you can kind of see how I do it. All in all, even if you can just get the next 2 steps in the next day or 2, that's going to be huge. Any input you put now in the front stages is going to pay dividends so much towards the end. Like Benjamin Franklin said, remember, if you plan to fail, wait a minute, no. If you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. This place is going to be transformed. I know it is. I really am so excited. The neighbor's playing some crazy music. I don't know if you can hear that. But man, look at this place now. And mark my words, it's going to be awesome. Even this week, it's going to be transformed in the backyard with the garden. Stay tuned. I'm excited. Keep planting, keep growing, keep sowing, and let's keep going. We got this. I'm excited to be able to share this story and this journey with you, because I think that me going through it and having gone through all of the landscaping that I've done before, it's just going to be so helpful for all of us. It's going to be helpful for me to be able to think about and share all the thought processes that go on, you know, to make this place aesthetically beautiful and fruitful. And, you know, just all in all, I'm gonna be blessed, y'all are gonna be blessed. Y'all, you see all this? See this non-existent landscape? This is not gonna look like this in the next 2-3 weeks. It's gonna be transformed, and you can do the same stuff. You can transform your landscape as well. Follow along the story, and I hope I'm an inspiration to you. And also this process, this 4-step process, it's gonna be huge for y'all. If you actually do it, if you get down and you start writing, making it practical, making it real, man, it's gonna be huge. All right, y'all, God bless. I'm headed back into the house, gonna have a wonderful day. I'll catch you later. Tomorrow I might be doing a small landscape install, and the guy said, you know what, you're the Leonardo da Vinci, you're the Michelangelo. I'll let you just do anything that you want to as far as edibles go. So I'm excited about that. I get to do a little design work and a little install. It'll be fun. All right, stay tuned. I'll see y'all later and catch you on the other side.